Hello, welcome to another All Hands on Deck. I'm Catherine McBean, and today I'm having the first catch up on here that I've had in 5 months. And that's predominantly been because there's been so much happening and so much shifting, and so many in the world are waking up at speeds I've never personally witnessed before. Um, Granted, it's been a lot in other countries. In the UK, we still seem to be a bit slow off the mark, but I think that's because we're actually a very trusting people and we're a very pragmatic people. And we take the knocks on the chin pretty well. But as a result of that, that means we have very high tolerance levels for bullshit. But you can see those walls are breaking down now. People are becoming more and more aware that things aren't right, and they may not understand the full bigger picture yet. I mean, I don't know that any of us really understand the full picture, but certainly a lot of us have grasped all of the foundational stuff, and they've not yet. But they are the chinks, the light is shining through the darkness a little bit here. The chinks are starting to happen. And what's become very apparent to me recently, even though I've been talking about it for a number of years, the importance of understanding that we need to deal with our own darkness and our own demons. Really important right now is to do it now, not think that comes later, is actually to do it now. And there's a jolly good reason for that, and that's been through my own journey and my own mistakes and shortcomings that I've been able to grasp how important that is. Because it's very difficult to shine light if you're still in a place of darkness. And shine light, it can sound all woo woo and whatever, but actually that is a reality. I believe the universe well, what we know of is made up of vibration and frequency, and I think the frequency that we work from, how we vibrate, has an impact on the world around us. I genuinely believe that. And it's very, very hard to consistently vibrate at a higher frequency if you're carrying darkness still. And we've all had it. We've all dealt with trauma at varying levels. We've all dealt with difficulties. Every single individual person's journey is unique. There may be similarities, but it's very hard to say I fully understand where that person's coming from unless you've really been through much of the same journey. And all of us have had different experiences, and all of us carry different trauma. I don't care who you are or how grounded and rounded you are. There's a strong chance you've had trauma in your past, and some have already started dealing with it, and that's fantastic, but not enough have. And what I discovered this week, and I want to share it with you guys, is like, so I've been on this journey a long old time. I've been doing self-reflection for a long time. Some call it shadow work, other people call it other things. For me, my journey truly started when I opened my heart up to Jesus. It sounds cliched, don't give a shit, it's the truth. And I opened my heart up to Jesus, and that took me to a whole new level. And I felt in a safe space to look at my behaviors, some of the ways in the past that I've behaved, the things that I've said that have come out of my mouth. Granted, this was, a number of years. Oh, no, I still mess up every now and again now. I still do now. But I've come a long way, a long, long way, in correcting my behaviors, my responses, how I view others, the empathy that I will show, which for a long time I was angry with the world for not waking up. I was resentful, and I did a post about this morning. I was like, what the fuck is wrong with you people? What is wrong with you? And I cannot live my life fully how I want to live it whilst you're all fast asleep, whilst you're all walking into this wall of hell. How can I live my life in any peace whilst that's happening? So yeah, I went through anger, I went through resentment, I cut myself off from the world to quite the degree. I still do to such. It's like a preservation mode. You do still need to keep your kind of energy blockers up, your guards up in that respect, because I'm not going to allow that matrix kind of mentality to influence my energies. And 99% of the time I get that right now. 90% of the time I get it right. It's when it's someone really close to you that it can still penetrate. And I think that's natural. You know, we're human, we're imperfect. But I think if we can certainly bring our emotions out of the matrix, bring our souls out of the matrix, keep our hearts guarded from the attacks that are done so blatantly. It's really important that we do that now. And if you don't know how to do that, and we're all at varying stages of this, my goodness me. So I thought I'd done all my work. I thought, yeah, you've nailed everything. You've flipping got it in place. You've reflected massively on your own behaviors, your own actions in the past, in the current times, how you deal with things, how you view yourself, letting go of things like guilt, anger, frustration. I thought I'd done it all. No, got walloped with another one this week. And it's the deepest and darkest stuff now that I've got left to contend with, from things in the past, which you've all got. I don't care who you are, you've got them. And so I've embarked on the next, and what I do actually genuinely think is the final leg of this part of my journey. And I don't know how long it will take, and I don't know what that will look like, but I'm going to do it and I will meet it head on. There's no part shying away from the pain. Don't ever shy away from the pain, because the pain will lead to healing. The pain is part of the healing, and it's hard, and none of us want to do that, and none of us want to face our demons, and none of us want to really face that darkness in ourselves that we've all had at some point or another, and some still have, in varying degrees. And this is no judgment whatsoever. If I'm saying you're carrying darkness, that comes from a place of love, because we all have to actually look at that. What comes after we win this war, this level of the war? What comes after that? And that's where my thinking's been for about, I don't know, 7 or 8 years now. What comes next? And I keep getting drawn back into the present, because it is so in our face, and it's so impactful on our lives, and you know, it's affecting people around me who I love, who I adore. So I do get pulled back into that, but I need to keep reverting back to, who do we want to be for what comes next? What do we want that to look like? And it's going to be glorious. I mean, it's going to be absolutely glorious, when we start building the new and we start creating the world we want to live in. There are so many beautiful parts of our heritage and our traditions and our nation's history that we want to cling on to, that we want to hang on to that, because it's a recognizable part of who we are. We all know that it's in our soul. It's embedded into us to want to adore those beautiful parts of our nation and our history. And we've done a lot wrong, don't get me wrong. You know, we English and other areas of Britain not historically always been angels, but we don't shy away from that, and we don't try and brush that under the carpet. It is what it is, and it's who we are. And we can either sit here and feel embarrassed about it, or we can accept it and learn from it and grow. And that's the road I think we are taking. And it's all part of the awakening process, is to understand and accept, hang on a minute, we love our country and we're patriots, but it doesn't mean that we don't recognize when we've done things wrong, and use the future as an opportunity to build bridges and to do better as we create the new and what that looks like. And we want to bring back that beauty. Architecture, I think it's been made ugly and cold and stiff, intentionally, but we want the beauty. Someone posted this morning about hearing the church bells ring again. Ring them up and down this nation. You know, we are a Christian nation, and we should recognize that, and also understand the benefits from the bells. That's a whole other conversation in terms of healing and keeping evil at bay. But yeah, let the bells ring again. The rolling countryside has become sterile almost compared to what it used to be, because of how we farm now, and the, you know, the impact and provisions farmers are having to make to keep DEFRA and the government happy and the supermarkets happy and so forth. But the beauty's still there. It might be hidden, but it's still there. You know, we're going to revolutionize the way we educate our young people, and give them a real education. And it'd be fun, and it'd be teaching. Again, it's the old adage, don't teach them what to think, teach them how to think. Let's let them grow, let's let them flourish and prosper. And our responsibility is to create the environment in order for that to happen. Health, oh my goodness me, look at where we've come in the last 5 years in terms of finding out the reality of all these simple things that we can do to keep ourselves healthy. And I'm very much on that journey myself right now. And I keep finding new little things that work for me. Everyone's different. And I'm trying new things out before I share them with the world. But it's exciting. It's really exciting. And I believe we're going to be able to live well into our hundreds. And that is what I think God intended for us in the first place. Biblical readings would suggest that is the case. And I think that's going to be possible. I think there's so much we're going to find we're capable of. We can't even scratch the surface fully yet. And it's a really exciting time. But we are going to need to have a practical transition as well. And, you know, I do think we're going to need another government. And I do believe, as I've said many times before, that has to be a transitional government in order to start the decentralization process, as well as bringing justice and accountability. I don't think we can fully start healing without that. That's an essential part of the process. And being that my relationship with God, how I feel about Jesus, that often causes me some difficulties, because it's like, what is our right to bring justice when we know that God ultimately will bring justice? What is our role? And then I read other parts of the Bible and look into myself, and I think, no, we do need to bring some justice, and I think that is our role. It's essential in order to make our world safe and to bring peace for individuals. I'm not just talking about us all together. I'm talking about those of us that are awake, who see the evil. We need to see that being eradicated and taken out of society. And I think that's essential. And that will definitely help with the healing. And as I've also stated for a number of years, those of us who are a little bit more ahead of the game, and are already on this journey, we are going to have to become healers for others, whether you want to or not. We absolutely have to do that. And there's a sense to that, even if you can't connect to your empathetic or sympathetic role. How will your children fare in the future if there's huge division and we push away all those looking for help, and they end up having all nervous breakdowns, and you know how that impacts society as a whole? That isn't healthy or balanced, and that's not what we need moving forward. So we will all have to step up and play a part in this, moving forward. But it all starts with us as individuals. It all starts with us reflecting on ourselves and our own behaviors and reactions. And I still get it wrong. I've been at this for donkey's years and I still get it wrong, but I'd like to think I'm a heck of a lot more right at it now than I used to be. There's people in the past I've said things to or done things to, and I've sought them out to apologize years later. I've put my hands up and said, yeah, I got it wrong. I got it wrong massively. But guess what? I'm going to forgive myself because I'm a human being and I am so less than perfect. And that's okay. I think as long as we keep each day trying to put one more foot in front of the other in the right direction, don't get me wrong, I'll have days where I suddenly backtrack. You know, I have to get up the next day and reschedule myself to move forward. I think it's absolutely essential, in terms of the healing that needs to happen. Is we need to do our own healing first and foremost, whilst helping others. We are more than capable of doing that, but our own internal reflection is absolutely key. And I wanted to get that across today because we want to create beauty, we have to be beauty. I'm not talking about this, yeah, there's a limit to what I can do with that, but I'm talking about the beauty from in here. And again, being someone who's naturally a bit of a warrior, I am a little bit combative. It's something that I've been since I was at primary school, if my mum's to be believed. I've always pushed back. I've always pushed back against authority. I've always tried to do it with respect and decency. And sometimes I've got it wrong. But most of the times I'd like to think I get it right. But it's very hard for me sometimes to level that approach of mine, that warrior approach of mine, with one of based on balance and love and finding solutions as peacefully as I can. So I have that internal battle quite frequently. I'm okay with it now. I've leveled with it now, because I do believe this is part of the transition. I think I need to still hang on to some of that old Katherine, warrior Katherine, if you like, because it's still going to be needed. But I'm very, very much moving into that loving, peaceful space and focusing on what I want to help co-create, what I want to help build for the future, how we build the new. I've been working for the last year or so on solutions of how we roll out decentralization and what that needs to look like and how that returns power back to the people. None of it's hard in theory. None of it's hard. The fix is easy. The practical of making it happen, I clearly don't know what that's going to look like. But I think we all need to start thinking about that and visualizing what we want to see for the future, how we want to see ourselves and our fellow countrymen live. How beautiful that is going to look when we can take some pride in our heritage quite openly and take some pride in our nation and building something very, very beautiful, building a society where the work of 9 to 5, Monday to Friday or more nowadays, is a thing of the past. It doesn't mean we don't work, and it doesn't mean we don't input, and it doesn't mean we don't try and create abundance for ourselves and each other. Um, excuse me. We absolutely can do all of that, but we can do it with the right energy and intention. And that's one of making sure everyone has what they need to be content. I'm not talking about all this living in huge luxury. I'm not even sure that's what makes us happy. The material things are relatively limited, but if people can live in materialistic comfort, even at foundational level, you're going to increase health and happiness naturally along the way. It's going to happen. So a transitionary government is going to be important to bring that in, but I don't see anyone, and I mean anyone. I mean, I quite like a lot of what Lowe says. I quite like what a lot of Habib says. Farage has said a few things I can get on board with, but they're old school. They're all old school. They're all stuck in that old way of thinking. They're still stuck in that left, right, you know, the division, the disparity, not looking at what actually connects us and brings it together. Because I now, still my hand on heart, think, but what 98% of the people in this country are good people in their hearts and their souls, and they might be fucking getting it wrong and you know, on the sort of surface level stuff. But I don't believe these people are evil. I don't believe that for 1 minute. I think there is probably some definitely, well, there are some evil people in this country. And I think God will serve up justice to many of them that are just at the periphery of being in the center of it all, that we know where justice is going to come. But most people are good. Most people are really good. And I think every single one of those people would love to see everybody else prosper. And if you don't, that's a conversation you need to be having with yourself. That is a conversation you need to be having yourself. Because if you're still carrying that level of resentment and anger on your back, and again, I'm not judging you for this. I'm not judging you. I've been there. But if you are hanging on to that stuff, you need to start working on it and letting it go, because I think we should all be wanting everyone to be happy and to be healthy. Imagine how amazing that would be to be in that environment every day, to wake up to people saying hello to each other in the street, to smiling, to feeling safe, that they can do that because they're confident in their own position, they're confident in their own happiness, that they've got the basics they need behind them to create a life of contentment. That's where we're going. That is what we're going to build. And I cannot wait to get on with it. We are held back at the moment because of the fiscal position. There's enough of us awake now who see the vision, who want to get on with it. And I was just messaging a guy called Mark Byford, who you guys might know as the bowler hat farmer, this morning, who I'm very fond of. And he's set up a CIC and he's trying to raise funds for it. And I mean, he's with me on the food and farming. We've got so many ideas. We've got so many ways of deconstructing the bullshit system that we've currently got in place quite seamlessly, moving it into a decentralized local economy and local production system. I mean, again, it's not hard, but you need the welly of finances behind you at the moment in the current dichotomy. There's no two ways about it. In order to be fully impactful, we need to have that, and we're not there yet. And I do believe it's coming, but we're not there yet. But that doesn't negate the work he's doing. It's still imperative that he does. And he's flying that flag, and he's got loads of farmers now awake and on board, and it's fantastic. But we're not next level yet. We need to be getting ready for that. So yeah, we're at that kind of in-between phase at the moment. Not enough people are awake for us to have the full weight and power of the, United Kingdoms genuinely coming together and standing up and saying, fuck off to the globalists. But we've also got a massive amount, an daily increasing amount of people waking up to the reality. I mean, I think patience absolutely has to be the virtue here, which is really unnatural for me because I am genuinely the most impatient person I know. So for me, this is a daily challenge to make sure, no, this is part of the process, just stick with it, and to use my time wisely, to use my time effectively. I have been absolutely planning and plotting in the background on how we roll out a decentralization program, how we do that sensibly, how we do that in a very practical way. So when it comes to that part, I can just put my finger on the button and say, hey guys, here's all my ideas, let's do it, and people will either like it or they won't. But I think most people will like it because I think it absolutely is the direction we need to go in. I've said it all along. Decentralization is key. Whilst we see the continued centralization of all the power structures, that even moves out of our country. It moves into the EU. It moves to other areas, to NATO and to the UN. We know that. We know that. We need to deconstruct and decentralize the lot. And by doing that, you return all those central services back to a local position where they have the power of decision making and input and control. That's going to be a game changer for we, the people, to then have a say and to truly have the power held with us. We will have to step into that responsibility. We will have to do that. But it won't be hard if we're all moving in the same direction. And I think health and happiness is absolutely the currency of the future. It has to be. And if everyone's reaching that space where suddenly they're in a position where they can do that because society is changing that much that they can let go of the fear of not having enough money, of not having enough this, because we will take care of each other. The society we create will be far more balanced and fair. And once you take evil out of the scenario, the fix is easy. The fix is really easy. It's not hard. And we have so much to look forward to. We have so much of our past that is going to be revealed. We have so much of our abilities and capabilities that we're going to come to understand. And it's going to be joyous. It's going to be absolutely joyous. And there will always be a balance, and there'll always be a force that will come back from evil to push in. But we will reach the stage where we will be able to push that back. And I think that can go on for hundreds of years. And no doubt humanity will run in a cycle again at some point. But we sure as heck can break it for generations to come. So I'm really excited about it all. But it all boils back to us all as individuals being in a strong place to be able to step up for what comes next. And that self-reflection should never end. It should never stop. It should become part of your daily routine. I will sit of an evening for half an hour, phone down, everything turned off. I might have a bit of music in the background, turned off, and I just sit and I just think, and I sit with God. That's my way. I sit with God. I talk and I think and I reflect on my own behaviors of that day and maybe things I've done in the past. And I do tend to beat myself up a little bit, but I'm learning to let go of that a lot quicker. I think forgiveness is going to be massive moving forward, absolutely massive. And the sooner we can forgive ourselves, the sooner we can start forgiving others around us, because ultimately they're not the enemy. They're not. But I think forgiveness is going to be a massive part of this, and we have to learn by forgiving ourselves. And we all fuck up, and we all make mistakes, and we all get things wrong, and we've got generations of cyclic, trauma going around, and we've got to be offloading this. As I do it, it's almost like each time more of a physical weight almost comes off me. My chest feels open more. Sounds crazy, but it's true in my situation. And I would encourage everyone to do that. And if you don't know what that looks like to start with, just sit and talk to God. Just sit and talk to God, or whoever I don't want to be judgmental, whoever it is that you lean into. I'll go and sit with nature. and feel closer to God sometimes, and spend that time saying, why did I do that? And try not to be too emotional about it. Try and be logical about it. Try and take yourself out of the scenario and look back in on it from above. And then, okay, why did I do that and say that? Where did that come from? And how did that aid anyone? Did it not? Okay, what could I have done differently? And if a situation like that comes up again, how could I handle that differently? What do I need to look at within my own behaviors that possibly caused that situation? And again, it's not about beating yourself up. It's about reflecting and giving yourself the time to create the tools to manage things better in the future. And I think that's a lot of what this is. And I think it's essential. I think it's absolutely essential. We've still got people out there who are very much, oh, but yeah, I'm far right. So that means that I have to hate the Muslims and I'm really pro-Israel. And break the thinking, guys. Break out of that matrix. Break out of those control mechanisms. These are just there to control you, and you're falling for it. You know, I'm more traditionally conservative thinking, and that's got more so as I've got older. I have faith. I wouldn't suggest I'm Christian per se, because I have disagreements with certain doctrine, but I love Jesus. And so I'm then usually pigeonholed as being a type of person. We need to just scrap the pigeonholes, guys. We need to just break down these barriers. They don't aid anyone. I think I put a post out about it yesterday. It's like, actually, let's just be human beings. Let's just be human beings who want to care for each other. Yes, don't get me wrong. I don't like the amount of immigrants here, or legal immigrants. They're still human beings. Do I respect them? I'm sure there's some in there I could respect. I don't respect what they've done, breaking into our country, or coming here and just living off our benefits. And I don't think culturally it's good for us to live with each other, visit and learn from each other, and become friends. Fine. But we do that in our home nations. And I hope when it comes to the time of remigration, we will show some compassion. They've got to go, but we'll do it with an air of respect and compassion. And if they don't follow suit in how we remove them, that's on them. We can go to bed at night knowing like we did our best. Also worth consideration with these sort of things as we move forward. How do we go about it? How do we hold ourselves? What expectations do we have of ourselves to deal with things a certain way and be the best people we can be? Because all of this will reflect on how we create the new. It will mirror how we create the new. If we can do this with as much love and respect as possible, imagine what it's going to be like when we fix our country and build the new and create something even more stunning and beautiful than we ever could have imagined. That comes from love and respect for each other. And we start that now. And that starts with yourself. It's a process. This might all be very garbled. I too tend to get a bit garbled when I'm getting excited about stuff. But I hope I've made it clear enough what I'm trying to say here. And I'd like to think I can start picking these videos up again, because I'm going to come at a different angle. I don't need to deal with this. I could sit here and talk to you about exactly what's going on in the political situation in America. I can tell you exactly what I think is going to happen, who's going to do what and who's going to do who. But actually, there's enough of that out there. And I put some posts out on X about it. What not enough people are talking about is preparing for what comes next. And I think it's essential that a lot of us do, because a lot of us are going to have to step up in one form or another. God bless Lowe and Habib and all these other guys, but I still don't think they're getting it. Sounds condescending. I don't mean that too, but I genuinely don't think they're getting it yet. This isn't just a return to the old, or isn't just a shift in the political system. This is a great awakening. This is a shift of every element of our lives that we ever have known. We are going to build something new. Doesn't mean we don't hang on to elements of the past that are part of us, part of our heritage, part of our nation, and not celebrate those and build on those. Absolutely. But we're building the new. And I think we've got to start really letting go of the old paradigms. And I hope people like Lowe and Habib and others grasp that soon, because it doesn't negate from what they're doing now and what a lot of what they're saying and doing. Yes, that has to happen. But we've got to look bigger. We've got to look bigger, and we've got to be excited about it. I mean, I am excited. I'm genuinely, hand on my heart, excited about what comes next. I could sometimes burst into tears with joy at knowing what is coming down the line. But I do think a lot of us need to prep for it. And I do think that starts with self-reflection. And I would encourage every single one of you watching this to please take 5 minutes every evening. Don't have to be half an hour. Take 5 minutes every evening, reflect on yourself for the day. If you had a difficult situation, reflect on that and hang on, did I do something there? And be honest with yourself. Don't lie to yourself. That's the worst thing you could do. And you might not like what you're telling yourself. You might not like the truth. Tough shit. Deal with it. You know, that's also an essential part of this. Don't lie to yourself or to anyone else about yourself, unless it's something very personal. And then just don't lie. Just refrain from saying something. So yeah, I'm excited. There's lots of good stuff coming. Yes, we're going through the darkness. We knew we would. I was talking about this donkeys years ago. We're in the midst of it now, which is great. It means it's underway. And yes, it's going to be painful and hard and difficult at times. But keep shining your light. If you know that's where you're at, keep shining your light and keep getting rid of your own darkness more and more so you shine even brighter and brighter. And my advice is to lean on the Lord. But I'm absolutely happy that everyone's going to find their own way and to do that. Anyway, sorry I've waffled on. God bless you all. Have a fantastic week. Stay in lightness, stay in joy, stay in love, and do your self-reflection because we're going to be building the new soon enough and we need to be in a really good place when we do that. Thanks again and God bless.